Howdy, my name is Grady, and I am back with another Pro Tools breakdown. This is going to be the Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End sound redesign that I did. For this session, there's a bit of a difference from the last session. There's only a slight amount of maybe two kind of background ambient tracks here, as well as mainly Walla tracks for some screaming soldiers hopping off of this ship here. And then rather than going into a SFX folder, I'm creating 4 different 5.1 folders here that are all SFX, but they're broken down into the categories that they are for my organization. Cannons to textures to explosions and more textures, basically. This is kind of settling textures and this is impact textures. So I'm going to break it down from the backgrounds as I did on the last video. Alright, so as you can see, there's not too much going on in terms of ambient wind noises or anything like that. This is all taking place in a slow motion segment here, so the laws of physics kind of don't apply naturally to slow motion, and that is, I think, one of the things that helps sell it in the sound world, is to make sure that you're not letting any real-time events affect the slow motion. I've seen a lot of videos where people put slow motion effects on the sound effects, but their backgrounds aren't doing any sort of automation, and it can kind of pull your brain out of the idea that it's actually moving in slow motion. So I'll just go through the tracks, solo them, and loop them here. Very standard wind sound here, some slight EQing going on just to cut out some of the highs and lows here. Some kind of ocean wind. And these are panned very much in the surrounds, the wind a little bit more in the front. Actually, sorry, we got the waves a little bit more in the front, the wind's a little bit more in the back here. And then what I'm doing for the end part here is there is, I believe, a cut in the video and then a verify effect. Through Audio Suite, I use verify to create this automation of a slowing down effect. So if you can hear, it kind of eventually starts winding down as he's heading down this staircase. The pitch will go down and the speed is actually slowing down as well in these tracks. Got a very low rumbling effect going on here. Kind of emphasizing on certain hits to shake the floor a little bit. This is where there's some LFE going on as well. I would typically have an LFE send since I'm not using a 5.1 mix lab right now. I didn't know how to monitor the LFE, so I just sent a little bit of level in this way. This isn't the proper way to do it, but this is what I just did for the time being. Alright, and now getting into the Walla fun tracks here. Also pitch down just to try to help and push this feeling of slow motion. It felt a little bit faster in the beginning of the video, and then it's getting a bit slower here, so their pitches kind of go down slightly through here. But if you pitch them down too much, then they're not even coming across as really human anymore, so I didn't want to pitch them down too much. Some last dying at the end there. So that being said, now we are going on to the cannons. I'll start one by one here. So we got these guys all on the right side. And now some panning moving. And on the left side. So I typically just start by populating where I see shots happening. I had little markers for these cannon shots over here. That's what I was trying to do there with the right side panning. And I think these are emphasized by the next track here. A couple more. You can see multiple blasts over there, so I was just trying to get as many as I could and get a lot of variations from these cannon tracks that I found. Now we got some left side over here. And so these cannons, they didn't really have too much to do with the explosions going on here. They're happening off screen. So these were all very much panned hard left, hard right most of the time. This track here is kind of just like it's almost a background. It's more of a full-on war stereo track going on here, and I'm just going a little bit crazy with the panning to show just how cannons are firing off in all different directions here, basically. And then it goes down into this last part here. And then here I have these fun little flybys, these little whiz-bys, basically. These guys are just there to try to articulate cannons actually flying close to the camera or close by, and I tried to put them right before some heavy impacts, so you kind of got the idea that, like, that one right here, for instance, was that cannon that shot across, and this next one right there. Now, if I was working in a 5:1 setting, I would definitely do some more creative panning with these, have these whooshes come from far back right and then fly around and go up towards the front left to really sell that cannon flying through. Alright, so all of that together sounds like this. Alright, and last thing I'll touch on here with the cannons is that these are all pretty intense, loud sounds. So I have on the 5:1 routing folder here a multi-band compressor that is kind of pushing down a little bit of the bass and bringing up a little bit of the mid bass, bringing down a little bit of the mid highs and bringing up the highs just slightly. And the pro limiter is just set to 0-0 to make sure nothing is blasting through the roof. Alright, on to the wood hits now. This is just a layer of textures from the explosions right in the beginning there. Just wanted to get a good feeling of a lot of debris kind of coming up here. This is one of those things where you could have gone further with it, but there's so much going on there too, and I've been just cranking through these videos. There was a pretty good wood destruction there. Really emphasized wood destruction here on this first guy. And these are all panning to try to match where the cannons are all hitting in the picture. I also put a slow motion verb on pretty much all of these actually. Yeah, all of the 5:1 tracks have the slow-mo verb on it. I'll go into the slow-mo verb settings here. We're doing a 1.7 second delay, a large size, some early reflections on that, diffusion 50%. This is just something that I think reverb and slow motion go hand in hand. I feel like you almost always have to have some reverb going on with slow motion. Like I said, physics are not accurate in slow motion world, so you might as well push the feeling of being in this kind of floating space, right? So all of these sounds are being applied into the reverb. Alright, onto the explosions now. I'm going to just loop this small section here so we can hear what's going on, how these all layer up with each other. And you hear that explosion from the left and then the debris coming across. A lot of mini explosions going on down there, followed by some bigger explosions coming up here. I think the key here with layering so many loud sounds on top of each other was just making sure that they're getting panned in the directions that they need to be when you feel that an explosion is happening. in a certain spot that is on the screen. Even if it's just some slight panning here, a lot of it was happening right in the center here, there. But as we get in here, there can be some more left to right panning going on. So this kind of thing is like where the wood textures I felt were important to put in. We had a much woodier explosion on that second guy here, and in the explosions you really only hear a bang, so with the two of those together, now you're getting a good feeling of exploding wood, basically. Alright, and onto the last folder here. This is going to be the debris. Got the wood log coming across here. I think there's a couple tracks that are describing this. There we go. Now we get the feeling of this wood flying across the screen. Got the falling guy in the back. There we go. Got this layer here. Just trying to kind of describe some of that wood getting closer and closer. And then a huge part of this video was trying to get these textures of like wood flying around. And so this is where all this crackly kind of texture comes in. This mixed with a lot of verify, this slowing down effect, kind of repeatedly over and over and over again. Just continuously reminding us that this is happening in slow motion. Oh yeah, I should mention also there's this one feet track here. I would typically make a fully 5.1 routing folder and put everything in there. Basically put in there to just add some texture to him walking. You can barely hear it coming down here. I wasn't worried about making his feet audible, just mainly just these first few steps as he, as you see his feet as they're the focus on the camera. It was necessary to have some feet there. Alright, and so this is everything together without the music now. There we go. And then the last thing that I did here was I put in this music track that I got from 5 Alarm. And this I also have a verify on. And you can hear it slowing down now. And as that slows down to a point where it's barely even music anymore, I have a new track coming in. I'll just play from here. So you can kind of hear how this verify is affecting the whole vibe. Pitch coming down. Love that. And I cut the video right here because there's this goofy explosion that happens right in front of his face in the actual film, which is kind of funny to me. But yeah, anyways, that is a much quicker breakdown of this video. This is a very short clip that I was working on for portfolio building. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more, let me know in the comments. Thank you. Have a good day.